Okay, well, our Dandavat pranams to all of our dear friends here. Very happy to be here with all of you. Today is a very special day. Today's the Divine Appearance Day of Sri Advaita, Acharya. So maybe we'll say a few words. We had a morning meeting here as well, but we can remember throughout the day. And afterwards, if anyone has any particular topic or question or share, then that can also be included. So Sri Advaita Acharya, we especially remember him because he is known for being the one who called for Mahaprabhu to appear. He performs that function of inviting the Lord to appear. For those who, I don't know, Steve, if you're familiar with all of these persons, but Advaita Acharya, he is a member of the Pancha Tattva, this fivefold truth, a fivefold manifestation of the divine, of divinity. And Advaita Acharya is representing, he is in the Bhakta avatar, an avatar of the Lord, in the mood of a devotee, in the mood of a bhakta, an expansion of the Lord, in the mood of a devotee. Advaita Acharya, he is Mahavishnu, Mahavishnu, who is the origin of the material, the whole material creation. You'll see those wonderful paintings of him floating in the causal ocean in this very majestic manner, and all of the universes are coming out of his pores with every exhalation, and with every inhalation they're again becoming absorbed into his body. And he's also responsible for the creation. It is Mahavishnu who throws his glance at the material energy, and then Shiva takes on the form of that glance and impregnates the material energy. And in fact, sometimes Advaita Acharya, he is seen as Shiva. We are primarily recognizing and honoring him as an avatar of Mahavishnu, but Vrindavan Das Thakur, he describes him as non-different with Lord Shiva. That is his vision. But actually, Shiva and Mahavishnu, they are very closely connected. Their functions are very closely related. So Mahavishnu appears as Advaita Acharya, and he has that special role that he invites the Lord. We hear how he observes the degradation in the environment around him. He's living in Navadvip. And at that time, Navadvip, it was a very wealthy area, actually. It was a center of learning and wealth. And because of that, there was also, when there's too much money and comfort, that tends to lead to, degradation. And so there was a great lack of spiritual culture and vision. And so Advaita Acharya, we hear how he was observing this and feeling this heartbreak. And so he made very earnest calls to the Lord, please descend, please come and help these people and guide them to their real necessity. And so, of course, the Lord, he doesn't need any special invitation. He is independent, but he likes to play like someone who is under the control of his devotees. He doesn't like to, asvatantra eva dvija. He likes, although he is fully independent, he likes to pose in that way, like he is dependent upon his devotees. That is his lila. And so he, that distinction is given to Advaita Acharya, that he is the one who called the Lord, and we hear descriptions of how with Tulasi, Tulasi leaf and Ganga Jal, Ganga water, he made this very earnest worship to the Lord and prayed for him to descend. And in response to that, the Lord, he came to this world. So Advaita Acharya, he was senior to Mahaprabhu. This is another point about Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya and also Haridas Thakur, they both were spreading the message even before Mahaprabhu appeared in this world. And so Mahaprabhu, for that reason, he always gave special honor to Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya, he had a very distinguished position, he was from a high Brahmin birth, and he was also, appearing as a very exalted Vaishnava. So both within the general society, as well as within the Vaishnava community, he was like a leader, someone who was universally respected. And he was, he was a shelter for the Vaishnavas, especially at this time in Navadvip when there was so much focus on materialism. The Vaishnavas, they took shelter under Advaita Acharya, and he would hold regular meetings in his home, discussion and study and kirtan we were mentioning this morning how Mahaprabhu's older brother Vishwarup, the first child of not the very first child, but anyhow older to Mahaprabhu, he would regularly attend these meetings, and in fact Sachi Devi, Mahaprabhu's mother, she had some resentment towards Advaita Acharya because of that, because Vishwarup, of course, he ended up leaving home, and his parents had wanted to arrange a marriage for him, but he ended up leaving home, and he went and he took sannyas eventually. And so Shachi Mata, a mother normally doesn't, is not so happy if her child, leaves home to take sannyas. So Shachi Mata, in her, mood of vatsalya, this parental mood of love, she held some resentment against Advaita Acharya because of that, And Mahaprabhu also, as a young boy, he would sometimes, be wandering around these meetings so Advaita, he was always held in this position of respect, and Advaita, he was not so happy about that, actually. It is, it is painful if someone who you look up to, you revere, they're treating you with much respect. It's a very uncomfortable position to be in, So Advaita Acharya was not happy about this, and there's that famous Leela when Advaita Acharya, he was contemplating, how can I get Mahaprabhu to stop giving me all of this respect, And so then at one time he conceived this plan to begin preaching an impersonal conception. So in Shantipur, he started preaching, against Vaishnavism, because he wanted to bring the wrath of the Lord upon him. He wanted to be beaten by the Lord, which is an interesting point, because normally we like to be praised, we like to be honored, but actually that indicates, that can indicate a degree of distance, right? When there's too much respect and formality, then that can be something dry. That means there's some lack of intimacy. So Advaita, there's also that incident when when Mahaprabhu, he chastises Jagadananda, because Jagadananda Pandit, he's a little too familiar with Sanatana Goswami. And so as a result, Mahaprabhu, he chastises Jagadananda Pandit, and he's glorifying Sanatan. And Sanatan, he's not comfortable with this. And he says, oh, my Lord, why are you giving me the bitterness of respect and giving the sweetness of chastisement to Jagadananda? I am very unfortunate, I could not get that. So anyhow, so Advaita Acharya, he went so far as to start preaching this impersonal conception. And eventually Mahaprabhu heard about that, and he immediately went running to the home of Advaita Acharya, and he started beating him and chastising him. And Advaita Acharya, he was jumping for joy, like, oh, now what happened to all of that respect, And then later, of course, Mahaprabhu, he ended up settling in Puri after he took sannyas. And then Advaita Acharya, he would lead, a group of a few hundred Vaishnavas every year to join the Rath Yatra ceremony and to have Mahaprabhu's association there. So I spoke a lot this morning about Advaita Acharya, so I feel silly, saying, so maybe I'll stop there. Does anyone else want to share anything about Advaita Acharya? Or also, it was Vasanta Panchami on Sunday, another very special day. Now Mahaprabhu's divine appearance day is approaching, Gaur Purnima, and so we see as it's approaching, many of the parshads of Mahaprabhu, Vishnu Priya Devi, her appearance day was Sunday. Nityananda Prabhu's appearance day is next Monday. Today is Advaita Acharya, and there are others, So in this run up to Gaur Purnima, many of these parshads, their appearance days are also manifesting. So it's wonderful. Govind Zandini saying everything you said is for me. But I know I feel silly. I just feel silly saying. Yeah, of course, if I was a really great Vaishnav, then I would have something complete. I could speak for another hour on something completely different, but I'm not on such a high level.
No, very nice, Vishaka Didi. Thanks for sharing. You share very nicely, very beautifully. Yeah.
Thank you, Ramananda Prabhu. Happy to have you with us. And also Echo's also joined us. Happy to have you with us, Echo.
Yeah, I was lucky. I went to Sunday on Sokhel, and Janardhan Maya spoke very nicely. A very auspicious day.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Pundrik Vidinidhi, Vishnu Priya, Raghunandan Thakur. Yeah, was many. Vasant Panchami, was very nice. Yeah.
Yes, Vasanta Panchami is very special because it's probably the biggest day in the year in the sense of how many divine persons are connected to that day. I don't think there's any other day with so many, you could say like celebrities, Vaishnava celebrities. So it's the appearance day of Vishnu Priya Devi, the divine consort of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is Sunday. It's also the appearance day of Raghunath Das Goswami, who is known as our Prayojan Acharya. And also Raghunandan Thakur, also amongst the group of Mahaprabhu's associates. Pundarik Vidyanidhi, as Ramananda said, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he is Rishabhanaraj, the father of Srimati Radharani, appearing in a Krishna Leela, he appears as the father of Radharani, and then in Gaura Leela, he appears as Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And then Vishnu is the disappearance day of Vishwanath Chakravarti. Disappearance day of two of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's godbrothers, also Parvat Maharaj and Bharati Maharaj. Also Saraswati Puja, and also the first day of spring. So that was all on Sunday.
So when you come into California, Vishaka Didi?
I'll be there on the 16th. The 16th, yeah. 16th.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to
Shakti has also joined us. Welcome, Vladimir Shakti. And Bhakta Kori. Happy to be here with all of you.
Our things in Texas, in Austin, Texas, where you are.
Very, very sweet. Very, very sweet. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Does anyone want to does anyone have any special request for today? Any special topics today? We have a secret squirrel in the waiting room here. I don't know if I should let them in. Secret squirrel. Does that mean anything to anyone? I don't know. Secret squirrel. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm the host today. I realize this isn't going to work. I think next time this isn't, I don't think I can do this. Should we give Secret Squirrel a chance?
No, first ask who is it? Yeah.
Okay.
You can text, yeah.
They've gone now, so never mind.
So how to relate with the Advaita Acharya? I want to know, we see him as Guru or how we see?
Sorry, what did you say, Prabhu?
I said how we relate to Srila Advaita Acharya. I know a little bit, but I don't know much. So how, I heard Param Guru Mai say that he's Lord Shiva, also he's like a Mahavishnu.
Yes, we were mentioning that at the beginning of our meeting that yes, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami sees him as Mahavishnu, you know, and then Vrindavandas Thakur describes him as Lord Shiva, Sada Shiva. And but Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he's explained how actually their two functions are very closely related, you know, because they're, you know, Mahavishnu, he throws his glance at the material creation, you know. Mahavishnu, he throws his glance towards the material creation, and then it is Sada Shiva, Lord Shiva, who takes on the form of that glance. You know, because the Lord, you see, the Lord never directly touches the material energy. This is the point, you know. You know, Vishnu Tattva, Krishna, they never come in direct contact with the material energy. So Lord Vishnu, he's the cause of the material creation, but he doesn't directly contact. So see, Lord Shiva, in a sense, you can say Lord Shiva does the dirty work. You know, it's like whenever there's a difficult job, who do you call? You call Lord Shiva. You know, when the devas are churning the ocean of milk, right? And there are all these fabulous things coming out. And the devas and the asuras, they're kind of, you know, sometimes fighting over these things. No, but nobody invites Lord Shiva to come. Nobody invites him to, you know, to have any of these wonderful opulences that are coming out. But then when this poison comes out of the ocean, then who do they call? Then they call Lord Shiva. You know, because they know only Lord Shiva can digest that poison. You know? So though there are a number of instances like that, you know, Lord Shiva, he caters to that, you know, type of job. You know? So Mahavishnu, he, you know, Gurudev once, he quoted this from the Chatur Shloki of Bhagavatam in regards to Lord Shiva. There's this line, Anvaya Vyatare Kavyam, that saying how everything is directly or indirectly related to the Lord. And so Gurudev was saying how Lord Shiva, he's sometimes doing things in the he's sometimes serving the Lord in an indirect way. You know, Lord Shiva also, he's often supporting the demons, right? He's supporting the Asuras, you know. And, you know, at one time, you know, you have Lord Shiva's trident and Vishnu's Sudarshan chakra, you know, battling one another, you know, because Lord Shiva's bound up with supporting the particular demon, you know. So anyway, you know, Lord Shiva's, he plays, you know, this role. One time Srila Sridhar Maharaj said it like leader of the opposition party, you know, and he said how this is sometimes one policy in government and politics, where you have like someone on your own team, like supporting the other side. You know? So Lord Shiva plays that kind of role sometimes. So anyway, so Mahavishnu, he's like the cause of the material creation, but he doesn't directly contact the material energy. So Lord Shiva, he takes that you know, awkward duty, and he takes on the form. Mahavishnu throws his glance, Lord Shiva takes on the form of that glance, and then Lord Shiva impregnates the material energy. So you can see how their roles here are very closely related, you know. And so, you know, from one standpoint, you know, you could say that Advaita Acharya is Sadashiva, you know, and that is the vision of Vrindavan Das Thakur, you know. So, you know, then also, you know, they're non-different, Mahavishnu, Advaita Acharya, but there's also something plus, right? You know, in Gaura Lila, there is something plus, there's something extra, you know, because the spirit of magnanimity is added, you know, is enhancing in Gaura Lila. You know, we're in the line of Gaura Bhaktas, you know, our gurus are Gaura Bhaktas. So we're a little biased, you could also say. And from, you know, on the side of Gaura Lila, it's very beautiful actually, because you see some of the relationships in Gaura Lila which bring out quality, that's not exactly the right phrase, but they give insight, you know, they give some deeper insight into the relationships of these, you know, eternal parshads of the Lord. So for example, you know, we were mentioning Pundarik Vidyanidhi, you know, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, his divine appearance day was Sunday. And he's, you know, in Krishna Lila, as we mentioned, he's Rishabhanaraj, right? He's the father of Srimati Radharani. And then you have Srup Damodar. Who is Srup Damodar? Srup Damodar is the Lita Saki in Krishna Lila. And what's interesting is that they're very good friends in Gaura Lila. Pundarik Vidyanidhi and Srup Damodar, they have this very special friendship, you know. So it's interesting, you know, like in Krishna Lila, like how much would that have actually been possible in their roles and in that Lila, you know. So, you know, these interesting elements are coming out, you know, in Gaura Lila. And we also see in Gaura Lila how Mahaprabhu has this special relationship with, you know, with Pundarik, and, you know, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, you know, and there's some element of him viewing Pundarik Vidyanidhi, as his father, and on one occasion he, at the time when Pundarik is coming to Navadvip, Mahaprabhu all of a sudden one day started calling out Bap, Bap, which means father, and the devotees were all puzzled by this. So, and so many things about, Lalita Saki, like we're mentioning Sri Damodar. So, because Krishna Leela is actually, it's hidden to us, we're not qualified to enter into deep discussion of Krishna Leela, because it is there are many points there which are very exalted and we're not qualified to discuss. But then in a safer way, in Gaura Leela, we're given some illumination and insight into their divine qualities. So like in particular, Srup Damodar, we know Lalita Saki, she holds such an, Srup Damodar, who's Lalita Saki and Krishna Leela. Lalita Saki, she is the right-hand personal attendant of Srimati Radharani. And we hear something about what an important role she plays in Krishna Leela, but we don't hear that much about her, actually. But in Gaura Leela, Srup Damodar, who is Lalita Saki, Srup Damodar holds such a prominent position, and he's there every point of Mahaprabhu's Leela, he's there, and we see how important his he's on one level, like he's above Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu's treats him as more than himself. Let's say like this, Mahaprabhu entrusts his own self to Srup Damodar, so that Srup Damodar knows better than Mahaprabhu what Mahaprabhu needs or wants, at any given moment, and in, on many occasions, we see how Srup Damodar is giving the orders to everyone, including Mahaprabhu. So we get so much insight there into these special relationships. And there's also some cases in Gaura Leela, like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, right? It's mentioned that he has something of an upgrade in Gaura Leela. I think he's Brihaspati, right? Is that right? Can anyone confirm that? I think Sarvabhauma is Brihaspati, the guru of the Devas. And in Gaura Leela,
yes, I heard so.
You remember that too, Govindanand?
Yeah, I've heard so.
Yeah. And so in Gaura Leela, he gets some, there's a genuine kind of like promotion taking place. Also, Lord Brahma, as Lord Brahma, it's mentioned, he appears as Haridas Thakur, and what type of special mercy does Haridas Thakur get? What type of a special role does Haridas Thakur get? Lord Brahma doesn't have quite the same situation, but Haridas Thakur, he's the Nam Acharya, he's the inaugurator of the chanting of the holy name. He has a very distinguished position in Mahaprabhu's group. He appeared like Advaita Acharya, Haridas Thakur appears before Mahaprabhu. He's spreading the message before Mahaprabhu. And in particular, what the gift that Mahaprabhu came to give, Harinam Sankirtan, that like the very purpose, the very reason for Mahaprabhu's descent, Haridas was doing that before Mahaprabhu, by the Lord's will, by the Lord's arrangement. So what type of a special position does Haridas Thakur have, and how particularly Mahaprabhu is honoring him, And our Gurudev Srila Govinda Maharaj, he would mention that sometimes too. A few times I heard him say, that, mentioning this, that we must give this special honor to Haridas Thakur. And he mentioned, like, after Kirtan, we must always say Jai to Haridas Thakur. And he also mentioned, when I'm giving initiation to someone, I'm thinking, I'm praying to Haridas Thakur. I'm not qualified, but you are the Namacharya. You please give your grace to this person. You please connect this person. Actually, we're so fortunate that we've, it's just occurring to me, all of these great souls, these parshads of the Lord, they would not mean anything to us actually without our connection with Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Because for them, like when we heard Srila Gurudev speaking about these divine persons, it was like he was speaking about people he knew, not like someone who you read about on Wikipedia, or someone, who you studied about in the scriptures, Madhusudan Maharaj mentioned that to me once, how like he never, like in all the years he was there in Navadvip, like he never saw Gurudev prepare, like if he was going, like sometimes if we're going to, like we know, oh, today's Advaita Acharya or, Vasanta Panchami, then we might, review, or we might prepare a little. But he said in all the years he was there with Gurudev, he never saw him prepare, for any talk. And, it was very natural. It was always very, and it, whenever I heard Srila Gurudev speak about these persons, it really felt like he was speaking. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj also, what we've heard on the tapes, it feels like they're speaking about people that they know, people that they have a relationship with, and they're not just like listing off historical facts, but connecting with them in a substantial way, in a living way. I remember once Gurudev gave this wonderful talk on Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and actually it's published, I think maybe it was 2006, it was in Calcutta. And actually it was a very spontaneous talk, and I just, happened to be in the right place at the right time. Because that morning, Gurudev, he was showing some illness and he didn't receive the devotees as he normally did. And so his door opens a little later, maybe around 8 or something. And then he was sitting in his room, and there were just maybe like 3 devotees there, and he just spontaneously started speaking about, it was the appearance day of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then I just happened to be walking past at that time. And so I went in and I sat there by the door, for the next hour. And it was very spontaneous, and few people there. And at one point, what I'm getting to is one point that he made is he said that, and he referenced this, I don't know if he referenced it then particularly, but another time he did. But this point, there's this article of Srila Saraswati Thakur, Ontology and Morphology. So morphology is referring to more of a, like examining things from a historical kind of perspective, like looking from an empirical, historical kind of perspective. And then ontology is looking at things more in an essential way, looking at things in terms of the substance, And so on this particular occasion, Srila Gurudev, he was spontaneously, discussing, like what was the real contribution, of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's not like it was like he came out to give this like, university, thesis, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur was born in 1800 and something in such and such a village, and in 18 so and so this happened, and it wasn't like like an encyclopedic presentation or it wasn't like a historical or academic analysis, but Gurudev was discussing what was the real like living vital gift of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he's saying, if you want to know all of these facts and all of these details, someone else can tell you, or you can read in a book, and not that he was totally dismissing those things, they have their place, but he wanted to use that time to explore things from a deeper angle of vision. And that's, that's our lifeline. Ultimately spiritual life is not, it's not a luxury, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj has expressed, it's not a luxury of fashion, of philosophy, poetry, but ultimately real spiritual life comes down to need, and we were discussing this not too long ago, I think maybe in this meeting, just like, our lungs need oxygen, our bodies need water and all of these things, so our soul needs Krishna. And so anyone who's actually contacting the substance of Krishna consciousness and what Krishna consciousness is, they will feel it's just as necessary as breathing and oxygen, that just as we'll die if we don't get enough oxygen, these higher devotees, they will feel that we'll die if we don't hear about Krishna. This is the real necessity. So Gurudev, he, in remembering these divine persons, that was his approach, like what's actually necessary for our, for our spirit, or for in connection with our spiritual need, he's addressing that. Gurudev wanted to give us something real. Anyone else want to add anything?
Thanks so much, Vishaka Didi. You said very nicely, very beautifully. Yeah, that's what Gurudev said many times. I'm trying to give you connection. And Srila Guru Maharaj say also, it's a dokshaja. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for being with us, Prabhu. And we have an anonymous Das Anudas here. Welcome. Welcome to our group.
So how many devotees are there in Texas now?
How many are here in Texas? Let's see. At the moment, we have Braja Mohini and Krishnananda, Kunti, Harivalabha Prabhu, he arrived, and Giridhari Prabhu is arriving also in about an hour with a friend.
Oh, nice.
And then there are a few others who will be arriving by the weekend. Dina Tahara Prabhu is coming.
Oh, good.
And, a few others. Yeah. And
how long you be there more?
Sorry, what did you say, Prabhu?
How long you will be more there?
I'll be here until the 16th of February, and then to SoCal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Anyone? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I look forward to seeing you there, Ramananda Prabhu.
Oh, thank you, very kind. Same here. Yeah.
Anyone else? Rasaraj Prabhu, you always have very insightful things to say. Actually, last week you asked that nice question, and then I gave a whole rambling answer, and then you added something at the end, and I thought, oh, everything I said in half an hour, you said in 1 minute, and it was so much better,
Oh, not really. No, but you give a nice explanation today about actually our gurus always look for the essence of everything, no? Like the most important thing, not so many details that are like empty, but mostly the feelings. They deal too much in feelings, and that's what we can understand better than any other thing. I have a small question that I'm not sure exactly how to relate this, but Krishna Lila is reflecting the material world, but it has the position in the spiritual world. So Chaitanya Lila also the same, right? It's eternal, is in the spiritual world. Now, some pastime of Krishna Lila, like when Krishna killed demons, they are not in the spiritual world. There is something similar with the Chaitanya Lila. For example, maybe in the spiritual world, there is no sannyasi position for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, something like that. I never hear anything about that, but I'm guessing that maybe that is very painful to the devotee. Maybe in the spiritual world doesn't exist that position of Mahaprabhu.
It's an interesting point. It's true that we don't hear as much about that point in regards to, we hear more detail about, Krishna Lila, the Bhaumya Lila of Krishna, right? The Krishna Lila on this earth. And also, this is especially discussed in Brahma Samhita. And then, how that Lila is also, it's playing out in both zones, right, so to speak. But it's true, we don't hear so much about Gaura Lila. And actually, one interesting thing about Gurudev is that he gave this special name to the deity of Sadashiva in Navadvip. In our Navadvip temple, right? In our Shitachinna Saraswama Navadvip, Srila Govinda Maharaj installed this deity of Sadashiva. And he gave this unique name of Sadashiva Gangadhar. And yes, Lord Shiva, he is known as Sadashiva. Sadashiva refers to the eternal, because Lord Shiva, he has different roles, right? And we were mentioning that earlier. So Sadashiva is one way in which like the higher form of Shiva is known. And Lord Shiva is also known as Gangadhar. Gangadhar means he's holding the Ganga, right? Because he's helping he's breaking the fall of Ganga Devi as she's falling to this, gracing this earthly plane. But the fact that Gurudev put these two things together, he's indicating the eternality of the Navadvip Leela. He's implying that by that name, by giving that name to the deity, Gurudev is implying that the Navadvip Leela also has its in this world, that the Navadvip has its eternal play as well. Navadvip, just like Vrindavan has that kind of dignity, so Navadvip also has that, that this is an eternal play, that there's an eternal Leela going on there. Gurudev is indicating that by this name. So that is an interesting point that you raised. And in regards to Mahaprabhu taking sannyas, see, one thing is that, this is mentioned, I believe Srila Sridhar Maharaj mentions this somewhere, that Mahaprabhu's taking sannyas, it parallels Krishna leaving Vrindavan, right? It's a parallel, right? Just like just like we hear how, Krishna leaves, as a teenager, he leaves Vrindavan and he goes to Mathura and on to Dwarka. And this, it creates heartbreak, right? For the residents of Vrindavan. And it's heartbreaking, it's painful, but it's also an important part of the Leela, because it's bringing about the mood of Vipralamba, right? Which is ultimately the highest divine sentiment. And then later on, there's also the meeting at Kurukshetra, right? Where they are coming together after over 100 years of separation. But instead of their separation being relieved, it's actually intensified, because you know all of these things. So then from that, considering that, then we could say, well, actually, in Gaura Leela, then Mahaprabhu's leaving to take sannyas, it's a necessary part of the Leela, because it's also bringing about that feeling of Vipralamba. Srila Sridhar Maharshi, he uses this term, a tragedy of separation, right? And he discusses this point, how the pain of separation, it cuts more deeply to the heart. And we hear these very poignant expressions of Bhaktivinoda Thakur envisioning himself as a Navadvip Bhakta and lamenting, oh, I don't want to see this form of, my beloved Nimai as a sannyasi. I want to wear what happened to that beautiful curling hair, that beautiful silken dress, and, Ami Chai Gaur Chanje Loite Maya Pode, I want to see that Mahaprabhu, who's dancing in kirtan and Mayapur, Shiva Sangam with his beautiful hair and cloth, etc. And then the Kurukshetra Leela is also paralleled, when Mahaprabhu comes back briefly after 5 years of separation from the Navadvip Bhaktas, then they're seeing this form of Mahaprabhu as a sannyasi, and it's breaking their hearts, right? So there's also some parallel. So from that, I haven't, the point you've made, I haven't exactly heard discussed, but considering these things, then it seems to me that the sannyas Leela, it's actually a necessary part of the eternal Navadvip Leela. I'm not, I can't, I wouldn't be so audacious as to go into a deep analysis, of this, but I'm just considering these points, and, that's all, Yeah.
It actually makes sense what you say. That is part of the Leela. Actually, the separation is part of the pastime with the devotees. No, actually, it can be separated from that. That is true. Thank you so much. Dandavad.
No, it's a very thoughtful point. Yeah, I wouldn't. I think I have to be careful, and I won't analyze any further. But I think, just as you said in summary, the gist of this is that separation is a necessary part of the Leela. So something has to come, right? to bring about that sentiment. That's the essential point here. So yeah.
So Param Guru, can I add something, Vishaka Didi?
Yes, please, Prabhu.
Yeah, like I heard Guru Maharaj say, progress means elimination and new acceptance. So it's a union and separation, and progress is elimination and new acceptance. So it's kind of goes in cycle, zigzag ways. Because it won't be that enhanced Leela. If Mahaprabhu don't take sannyas, then it will kind of become stagnant. See? So it enhances the pastimes.
Well, we're just coming up to the end of our hour here. Does anyone else?
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Anyone else have any final mentions, or should we close here? Next week, as we said, is Nityananda Prabhu's Divine Appearance Day, so maybe we'll have some remembrance. These days are very special for us because they're an opportunity for us to invite the mercy. You know, these persons, they're, you know, as we were saying, you know, they're not historical beings, but, you know, they're living, they're present in the world of consciousness. And so these days give us the opportunity to remember them, try to glorify them, and invite their grace upon us. And of course, you know, we are nobody, you know, there's no reason they should pay any attention to us, but we have connections, right? You know, we have the connection of great persons like Srila Govinda Maharaj, Srila Srila Maharaj, Srila Swami Maharaj, Prabhupada. So because we've got that relationship, then they have to give us some attention. You know, they cannot ignore us, you know. So these are special days for us to invite their grace, and also, you know, contemplating their divine character gives us great inspiration. You know, when I think of, you know, it's like, you know, when you think of how these persons, you know, are showing or manifesting their devotional mood in this world, and, you know, you start to compare it, like, well, how am I living? You know, like Vishnu Priya Devi, you know, one of the things that is famous about Vishnu Priya Devi is it's said that you know, that she would chant japa, right, counting grains of rice, sorry. You know, for one grain of rice, she would chant one Maha Mantra. She would set that aside. And then when she had some pile, you know, she would cook that, and that was her food. You know, that's how she would maintain herself. You know, she lived in such a extremely austere and devout manner, you know. So you hear about this, you know, and you square that up with how you're living, and it gives some moment for reflection, you know. So it's very inspiring to hear the mood of devotion of these persons, and, you know, it gives us some encouragement to, you know, try a little harder, you know, try to give more attention to, you know, what is of true importance in our lives. Okay, well, maybe we'll close there for today then. Very, very happy to be here with all of you as always. Wishing you all the best for the week ahead, and look forward to next time. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai, Jai Advaita Acharya Avirbhav Mahamahotsava Titi ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, assembled devotees and sincere seekers ki Jai. Itai Premanande.
Simati Vishaki Devi Dasi ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.